And then we go to one of David Stern's favorite players ever. We go to the human pinata himself, Richard Lovelady, who happens to also double as a run prevention specialist. So, Lovelady, the story of Richard Lovelady and the Mets. I'm going to pull up his transaction history here so I can tell you folks about what's going on with old Rich Lovelady. So, now mind you, last season, Richard Lovelady in 10 games, 8 of them pitched with the Mets, 2 of them pitched with the Toronto Blue Jays, who went to the World Series, thanks to no contribution of his. 0-1 record last season in 10 games, 8.49 ERA, 12 strikeouts, and 11 and 2/3 innings. Richard Lovelady. This is his transaction history, folks. Richard Lovelady, signed by the Mets, June 23rd, 2025. June 25th, 2 days later, designated for assignment. June 27th, 2025, cleared waivers, sent to Syracuse. June 29th, recalled back up to the Mets. July 18th, designated for assignment. July 21st, cleared waivers outright to Syracuse. July 24th, activated on the Syracuse Mets roster. September 20th, called back up. September 25th, designated for assignment. Clear waivers outright. September 27th, season already ended. Put on the minor league roster. September 29th, elected free agency because the season was over, 1-year deal. October 23rd, signed to a 1-year deal. January 22nd, designated for assignment. January 29th, the Washington Nationals claimed Richard Lovelady off waivers from the New York Mets. If you look at our first spring training vlog from February 28th of this year, you'll see that Richard Lovelady pitched for the Nationals against the Mets in Grapefruit League action. Then on March 10th, Richard Lovelady designated for assignment by the Nationals. March 14th, the Mets claimed Richard Lovelady off of waivers. And then he makes the team. He makes the opening day roster. Now, here's where I have my frustration, folks. You had Craig Kimbrell in camp, right? You had future Hall of Fame reliever Craig Kimbrell in camp. Probably one of the best closers in the last 20 years of Major League Baseball. So, you mean to tell me you had a guy who's led the National League in saves, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. A 7-time reliever of the year, a rookie of the year, and a World Series champion with the 2018 Boston Red Sox. You had this guy in camp. And you chose Richard Lovelady over him. Richard Lovelady. Let me explain this again. Richard Lovelady beat out Craig Kimbrell. Now, again, I understand that Lovelady's spring training stats were better. Well, his Mets spring training stats in spring training were better than Kimbrell. But you can't even make that argument because in spring training this season for the Mets, he only pitched in 1 game. He pitched 1 inning, only gave up a hit, and threw 17 pitches. Meanwhile, he appeared in 4 games with the Nationals and had a 2.25 ERA. But again, I've said it before on this program. I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Spring training competition is very uneven. Spring training is full of non-roster invites, veterans past their prime trying to cling on for one more season and get a roster spot. Prospects trying to impress team officials. It's uneven competition. And then you look at Craig Kimbrell, and we'll pull up his spring training. Kimbrell also in the same game that Lovelady pitched for the Nationals on our vlog. Kimbrell made an appearance. And we pull up Craig Kimbrell's numbers in the spring. And Craig Kimbrell in spring training with the Mets had a 4.50 ERA, pitched in 6 games, pitched 6 innings, gave up 3 runs on 4 hits. Fastball, I guess because he's older, fastball was topping out at 92. But this is a guy, you bring him on for what he could bring to the clubhouse. If he would have made the roster, he would have been the only guy in that clubhouse in Citi Field, not named Juan Soto, that can tell you what it is like to win a ring and to get champagne poured all over you in the clubhouse and to lift up the trophy and get a ring the first day of the season the following season. Yeah, outside of Juan Soto, nobody else can tell you that in that clubhouse. I mean, Lindor played in the World Series, but he didn't win it. Craig Kimbrell, 7-time reliever of the year. This is a guy who he can mentor a Tobias Myers. He can, when Devin Williams might get frustrated because he's blown a save or two in the last couple of games, Kimbrell can pull him to the side and give him a pep talk. But you chose Richard Lovelady. Now, granted, Richard Lovelady, 2.25 ERA in the spring compared to Kimbrell almost 5. But again, it's uneven competition. It's prospects, non-roster invites, aging veterans. Managers in spring training are not putting their best lineups out there on the field. And the World Baseball Classic was going on this year. So uneven competition. And you picked Richard Lovelady over. And kudos to Craig Kimbrell, by the way, because Kimbrell accepted a minor league assignment. He's going to start the season in Syracuse. Hopefully we see Craig Kimbrell at some point in Flushing. But the fact that Lovelady got the nod over Kimbrell, I would have rather Brian Hudson, to tell you the truth. Or even Ryan Lambert, even though he got sent down before things went down to the wire. But anybody but Lovelady. But I don't know what the love affair is between David Stearns and Richard Lovelady, but for all the trouble that Lovelady and the anxiety that he put us through in those 8 games he pitched for us, he better be worth it. Confusing decision nonetheless, but I hope to see Kimbrell up soon.